Welcome to this brief training package which has been designed to complement the high-class training package. In this training program, we cover all aspects of working with step ladders and the environments in which you may use them. Each module will cover a description, the use and safety features of your equipment, and looks at risk assessment and procedure. Remember, health and safety is not something that is added on at the end, it's an essential part of being a professional. You may think a safety training program about using ladders or step ladders is, well, a bit obvious. A ladder's a ladder. You go up and you come back down. You've probably been using them for years. What else can you be taught? Well, that might be the case. But if this training package highlights just one thing that stops you having an accident, can't be a bad thing, can it? Looking at these chaps, you would expect them to know what they're doing. You'd expect them to be wearing the right gear and have checked their equipment. Why? Because they don't want to fall.
By checking all your gear, it stops anything going wrong. It's like that one chance that if you don't check something it might not work, so there's no harm in checking it. Personally I wear a helmet because there's no reason not to. You never know where the danger is going to come from. The first things that we look for when we get to a route is the condition of the route, whether it's been wet or dry and how slippy the rock is. Also looking where we're going to be putting protection in before we start the route so we get a bit of advance warning of what we might need. If we go up the route and we don't have enough equipment or the right size equipment to protect ourselves as we go up, then we'll be stuck halfway up a route and we won't be able to do anything. So this kind of advanced preparation just helps us out a lot. On the route itself, we're protecting ourselves as much as we possibly can. We're not wanting to fall off. We're not wanting to make it any more dangerous than it already is. You might have been to the crag 1,000 times and there might not be any objective danger from the top. So whether it's the climber and something falling on top of the climber like a loose rock or pebble, or somebody tripping up at the top and dislodging some stones, or even the belayer at the bottom of the climb, they need to protect themselves with a helmet as well because they're more at risk for things being dislodged by the climber.
Look at it this way. In 2004, 67 people died at work by falling from a height, and most were from less than 2 meters. In the same year, there were just under 4,000 major accidents at work by falls, and most of those were from ladders or step ladders. The estimated cost of business was £19 million. When you consider those kind of figures, working at heights, even relatively low heights, can be pretty dangerous. But it doesn't have to be, as long as you know what you're doing and why. The reason there are so many accidents and injuries is because most people have been using steps and ladders for most of their lives, and yet most have never been told how to use them safely or correctly. It's a received assumption. We all assume we know what we're doing. This means if you do have an accident and it can be proved that you didn't follow correct procedures, you may be liable to prosecution under the health and safety laws. Fortunately, it's not difficult to be safe when you are using steps and ladders. There are just 4 things to think about. Is the equipment safe to use? What are you going to use it for? Where are you going to use it? And finally, are you suitably dressed, trained and fit to use that item of equipment? Before you use any piece of access equipment, you should always make basic checks and risk assessment. You not only need to check your equipment thoroughly, but also have personal protective equipment, especially footwear. And you need to do a thorough risk assessment of the area where you're going to be working. The best piece of advice is to ask yourself, do you really need to climb up or down? Is there another way? Remember, you don't have to be high to die.